All this for fucking that. Suspension's out, track's out, drive's out. Well, she's getting pretty well stripped down. Just this is all loose. Gotta fucking pull this subframe thing off. Jesus, that was friggin' easy. Holy, I don't know why everybody just doesn't do this. It's fucking so easy. Couple nuts and bolts. Fuck. Oh my goodness. Look at this piece of shit. She's actually coming back together now. Yeah, that's right. She's going back together, boys. I want to fucking just be like, yeah, tonight. But probably won't be. Coming back together. Hey guys, how's it going? Got a 2012 Yamaha Nytro here. Did the heat exchanger in it, and they're not the easiest thing to do. Up at the front here, they're all riveted in and whatnot. $600 where we got it in Canada here, but either way I want to show you the steps I did it, because I haven't seen a video on it and I just followed forums. So either way, what you want to do is drop your suspension, and the easiest way I find to do it is I'll loosen off obviously the rear wheels or whatever, and loosen the tension off at the back there. Then I put a strap around the front here and I rig it up. Oh, where's my light? I go up over top of this suspension here and pull the front of the suspension down, right? So that way you get a little bit more play, and it's just easier to deal with it when it's compressed a bit. So get your suspension out, then you go up here, pull your brakes off at the back, pull your assembly off, right? Get your gearbox off. If anyone hasn't done the Nytro or whatever, like, it's not like the Skidoos or anything. You actually got to take all the gears off individually. It's a little easy. It's a little harder actually. So I more or less just made sure there's a lot of shims and stuff too. So I just made sure that I put everything reverse on the table, so that way when I put it back on, I just had to flip it and get the gearbox all off. This lower rad hose, that's actually the bottom hose for the exchanger, and you got to pull this oil can off, draining the oil. Got to pull your battery off, right? And take all these plugs off. What you got to do is this plate here, you're going to work on getting this magnesium plate off. So what you got to do is you go to the front and you want these plastic pieces off on both sides. You got to take your headlight assembly off, and another thing I was like, oh, take these off? No, 4 clips here, or sorry, 6. Got boom, boom, right? You take that off, pull that out, then you got to get your steering shaft. I never took the steering shaft right off. I just made it so I could get the airbox out. You just need to get your hand back there and shit. So it just makes it easier. So you pull all that out. So there's 2 nuts here, there's 2 nuts up there. You got to pull this little plastic piece off. Again, I didn't even take it right off. I just left it hanging there. And on this side, when I had this off, all I did was I had the subframe unbolted. I'll show you after I grab the light. So after you get the headlights assembly off and everything over there off, right, you can start taking all these bolts off. There's a couple of them that have nuts behind them, so just watch out. And then the subframe bolts are all welded. There's a bunch of bolts over here. There's a bunch of rivets you need. I think I used about 30 rivets. You have to take your whole foot peg off and everything. 14 mil on the inside of the tunnel for the top here. It's mainly 14, 10, and 12s that you'll need. And yeah, so then after you do that, then you unbolt the subframe up here, unbolt the 3 bolts for the subframe down there, and do the same on this side, right? And then you'll know I used a grinder to get most of the rivets off, and a little crazy guy, little smaller air grinder to grind most of the rivets off on the heat exchanger there. And I did it on the outside or whatever, and it worked. Actually, it wasn't too bad. This wasn't too bad. It's just the fact that I don't work on sleds. So now that if I were to do another one of these, I could do it in probably, I'm guessing, 6 hours. They're not bad to do. A little bit of a pain in the ass on the suspension if you've never done them. There's little bushings in between the front there where the bolt and nuts are on the front part that holds the suspension in. There's sometimes a bitch to deal with, and that's why I found it was easier to put compress the suspension. And when you put the suspension back in, put the front bolts in first and then the rear. So either way, then after you get the subframe all unbolted, and that all unbolted, I don't know what you're going to use, but I actually pulled this little snowmobile hoist closer to this joist, and I still had it on a pretty big angle, and I wrapped a strap around that joist, I guess, and then onto this front bar, and I used it to pull it away from the tunnel, so that way you can get this magnesium plate out. And it's the only way, like, you can't, I tried prying and everything, but you actually have to, some guys pull the motor and everything on these, so I just used that and I stretched it apart, and you know what, it went back together real nice. Once you have this plate off, there's a bunch of rivets on it too, but once you have that plate off, the heat exchanger literally falls off. I took that hose off there. Once you have this oil can off, you can see the other hose right there. You can get at it easier once the oil can's off, like, especially when you got the air box off and whatnot. And then this side, there's a hose at the very back. There's 3 hoses on tool. So what I did is this hose right here, I just took it off there and pulled it down with the heat exchanger. And yeah, so other than that, that's pretty well it. I'm just waiting for some gear oil for the chain case, and then I'll do a little video firing her up for you. I had it running just to make sure the reverse is some kind of prick to do on this, because it doesn't all come off together, right? So when you're putting the box on, you got to make sure it catches that bottom gear. Just got to have it in the right spot. But either way, that's the sled. I cleaned her up because it's kind of dirty. Oh, I hate working on these things. This is like second sled I've worked on, but either way, more of a car guy, and either way, this is it. I'll do another video starting her up.